Hello everyone and welcome back to Joy as It Flies. My name's Alyssa and I deal with the crochet side of this channel. Now I have seen your comments and I have finally created the pattern for this crochet book cover. I really hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I loved making it and I love designing this pattern, and I hope you will like it as much as I do. Before we get into the actual pattern, we are going to need a few things. First of all is some yarn. Now I am using this yarn here for my actual book cover. This is a DK yarn. It's a little bit thinner, as you can see here. I would recommend something like this, a DK lighter weight yarn. I wouldn't really recommend a chunky yarn. You want to be using something that's a little bit more on the thinner side. Then we're also going to need some yarn for our strawberries. So I am using this very thin cotton yarn. As you can see here, it's a really nice yarn, and you're going to need that in red or pink, green, and just a little bit of white for the seeds. You really don't need much of this. Now for this, you really want to make sure that this is a nice thin yarn. You definitely don't want to be using a chunky yarn. Next, we're going to need 2 different crochet hooks. For the main book cover, I am using a 4mm crochet hook. But if your yarn recommends a different size, make sure you go ahead and use that. We're then also, for our strawberries, going to need a 3mm crochet hook. And using a smaller hook is just going to give our strawberries that dainty look that we need. You're then also going to need a darning needle, a pair of scissors, a few stitch markers or something similar. You could use a hairpin or a safety pin. And then also, optionally, you're going to need a tape measure, your book, and if you're going to be naughty like me, a hot glue gun. Now I will explain that later on when we get to it, but I use a hot glue gun to glue my strawberries to my book cover. I'm too lazy and I don't like to sew them. So if you want to do that, you will also need a hot glue gun. Now we're just going to talk a little bit about how our book cover is actually made. As you can see, it opens up long ways instead. We're going to create this by making a huge rectangle that we then fold up in half, and we will then join by crocheting down the sides. The next thing we need to talk about is the measurements of our book cover. So I have found a few standard measurements online which you could use if you would like. There's 3 different options for you. I really like these measurements. I think they're all really nice sizes and they will accommodate pretty much any book. You could also use my measurements, which are 10.5 inches or 27 centimeters by 7 inches or 18 centimeters. So you could use mine. I really like these measurements. Or your third and final option is to use your book, and you can just use that as a guideline for the size of your book cover. Now let's actually get into the tutorial. You're going to begin by making a slip knot, and you can use any technique that you would like for this. From here we are then going to be using our 4mm crochet hook. Pop that right on like that. And we are now going to make a chain that is the desired width of your book cover. And it has to be a chain in multiples of 3. That is super important. So a chain that is a multiple of 3. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. So go ahead, pause the video and work your chain to your desired length, making sure that it is a multiple of 3. A quick note so you aren't all confused, I'm using a slightly thicker yarn right now, just so that you can see what stitches I'm making. There we are, I've finished making my chain and I've made a total of 54 chains. Now once you finish doing that, we are going to make 1 extra chain for turning purposes. We're now going to look at the 4th chain from our hook, so that's this one here. And into that we're going to make 1 double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into that 4th chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Then we are going to skip over the next 2 chains, and into the third we're going to make 1 double crochet, a chain 1 and another double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into that third chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then chain 1, and working back into the same stitch, we're going to make another double crochet. And you'll see that this has made our very first V-stitch. So we're going to repeat these steps all the way down our chain until we reach the end. Skip over the next 2 chains, and into the third make your V-stitch. So 1 double crochet, a chain 1, and then another double crochet into the same chain. So go ahead, pause the video, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So I'm at the end now, and your last V-stitch should be made into your very last chain, just like this. And there you are, that's the end of row 1. So you can see we have our lovely V-stitches. And if you have a quick look, you can see that there is a chain 1 gap in between each of your V's. We're going to be working into those in the next row. So to begin row 2, we are going to chain 3. This counts as our first double crochet and chain 1. And then we are going to turn our work. We're going to begin by making 1 double crochet into our very first chain 1 space. So that's into this gap right here. Then we're going to move across, find your next chain 1 space, and make a V-stitch into it. So 1 double crochet, then a chain 1, and then another double crochet into the same space. Just like this. And that is what you're going to do down the whole of the row. You're going to make 1 V-stitch into every single chain 1 space. So a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet into the same space. So go ahead, pause the video, work your row, and I will meet you back at the end to show you how to finish it off. I've nearly finished the row, and as you can see, I just have these 2 stitches remaining. Now if you pull these apart a little bit, you'll see that this creates a gap. We are going to work our final V-stitch into this gap here. So your double crochet, working right into that gap, your chain 1, and then another double crochet into the same space. And that's the end of row 2. So we are going to go ahead and repeat row 2 until we have a rectangle that is our desired size. Now remember, we fold our rectangle in half. So I'm going to make mine about 14 inches in length. So go ahead, pause the video and work your rows, and I will meet you back when you've done that. Here we are, I've made my rectangle. As you can see, it's nice and big. As I said before, mine is about 14 inches long. Now, once we've done this, we are going to come up to this corner where we finished our row. We're going to chain 1 to fasten off, and you can then go ahead and cut your yarn. And at this point, I now like to sew in my first few tail ends. Once you've done that, we are now going to fold our rectangle in half, just like this. Then, taking some of your stitch markers or safety pins or whatever you're using, you can then go ahead and secure each of these corners together. Now that our sides are nice and secure, we're going to come up to this top left-hand corner. We are going to be joining our sides together using single crochets. If you have a quick look at the edge of your rectangle, you can see that there are some pretty obvious gaps that we can work into. Now, I like to make 2 single crochet into each of these gaps. Don't worry, I promise that is going to make a lot more sense in a minute. So, into this very top corner, we are going to insert our hook into the front piece and then the back piece. And from here, you can then attach your yarn. Once you've done this, chain 1. We are now going to make 2 single crochet into this same gap. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And a second single crochet into the same space. Then you can move on to the next space. Insert your hook into the front and the back piece. It's really important you work into both sides. And make your single crochet. So here's one, and here's our second one into the same gap. So go ahead, pause the video and work in this way all the way down your side until you reach the very end. When you get to the end, you can then fasten off and you can cut your yarn. Now that we've done that, we can join our other side together, and we are going to do this in exactly the same way. You're going to attach your yarn in the corner and you're going to work 2 single crochet into every single gap. So go ahead, pause the video, crochet up your other side, and I will meet you back when you've done that. There we are, I've finished joining off my second side of my book cover. And all we have to do now is create the top edging and the book ties. So I'll just quickly show you on my other book cover here. We're going to be creating this part of our book cover. So we're going to have a nice frilly edge and our book ties. Begin by coming over to one of the sides and attaching your yarn. So insert your hook into one of the stitches and then attach your yarn as normal. From here, chain 1. Now this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. For the first round of our border, we are simply going to make 1 single crochet into every single stitch around. So starting into the same stitch, you're going to make 1 single crochet. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And you're going to do that into every single stitch. So go ahead, pause the video and work all the way around the top of your book cover, and I will meet you back at the end to show you how to finish off the round. At the end of the round, we're going to find our very first single crochet. So that's this one right here. we're going to insert our hook into it and we're going to make a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through that stitch and pull straight through the loop on your hook. And that is the end of the first round. So from here, we are now going to mark out where we want our book ties to be. So pull your hook out. Now this is where you can have a bit of fun. You can be a bit creative. I always thought that having 2 book ties would look really cute. So having, say, one here and one here, you could do that. Or you could do what I'm going to do and have one book tie in the center. So I like to do this by taking some of my stitch markers and folding my book cover in half. And this is just going to help me find the very center. From here, you can then go ahead and mark out on either side where you want your book ties to be. There we are, that's where my ties are going to be. So now that we've done that, we can work on round 2. Coming back to where we finished round 1, we are going to begin by chaining 3. So 1, 2 and 3. We are then going to skip the next single crochet, and into the following one we are going to make a slip stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that stitch and pull straight through the loop on your hook. And we are just going to repeat these few steps. So chain 3, skip the next single crochet and slip stitch into the next. So go ahead, pause the video and repeat these steps until you reach your first stitch marker. I'm almost at my stitch marker now, and if you're like me and you don't have any single crochet in front of your stitch marker, you are simply going to slip stitch straight into it. So I'm going to slip stitch straight into where my stitch marker had been. If, however, you do have a single crochet in front of it, you can do your chain 3 and slip stitch into it as we have already done. We're now going to create our first book tie. To do this, we are going to chain 50. There we are. Now you can of course make this as long or as short as you would like. Once you've made your chain of 50, we are going to start in the second chain from our hook, and we're going to make 1 single crochet into every single chain. So into that second chain, insert your hook and make your single crochet. So go ahead, pause the video and work 1 single crochet into every single chain, and I'll meet you back when you've done that. There we are, that is our first book tie made. Once you have done that, you are then going to finish this off by slip stitching into the very same stitch. So insert your hook into that same stitch and make your slip stitch. We're now going to go back to making our chain 3 looped border that we've been making before. So from here, chain 3, skip the next single crochet and slip stitch into the following one, exactly as we did before. Go ahead and work in this way around the top of your book cover, and every single time you reach one of your stitch markers, you are going to make a book tie exactly like the one we just made. So go ahead, pause the video, work all the way around your border, and I'll meet you back when you've done that. I've almost finished my round, and I'm going to make my final chain 3 loop. So I'm going to slip stitch into that final stitch. From here, you can then chain 1 to fasten off, and you can cut your yarn. And there we are, we've now created the very first part of our book cover. So you can see we have our beautiful border with our book ties. And if you wanted to, you can of course just keep this as your book cover. We're now going to go ahead and make the little strawberries. But at this point, I also like to sew in any tail ends that I have remaining. And yeah, that is our book cover part done. So we're now going to go ahead and make the strawberries. For our strawberries, we're now going to be switching to our red yarn and our 3mm crochet hook. We're going to begin by creating a ring that we can work into. I'm going to be making a magic ring, but if there's a different technique that you would like to use, feel free to do that. Once we've created our ring, we are going to chain 1. Now this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. From here, we are going to make 10 half double crochet into our ring. So yarn over, insert your hook into your ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You're going to repeat this until you have 10 half double crochet in total. And here are my 10 half double crochet. Once you've done that, you can then pull the tail end to close any gaps that you might have in your ring. So you can see I'm pulling it nice and tight, and that's closed that gap right up. Once we've done that, you want to find your very first half double crochet. So that's this one here, and you are going to slip stitch into it. So insert your hook into that first half double crochet, yarn over, pull through that stitch and pull straight through the loop on your hook. And there we are, that is the end of round 1. To begin round 2, we are going to chain 1, and this does not count as a stitch. Into the same stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet. So yarn over into that very same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Into the next stitch, we are going to make 4 double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And you're going to repeat that 3 more times into the same stitch until you have 4 double crochet. There we are, I have done my 4 double crochet. Into the next stitch, you're going to make 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. So here's my half double crochet, and back into the same stitch, a single crochet. Into the next stitch, you're going to make 1 single crochet. Into the next stitch, you're going to make a single crochet and a half double crochet. So here's my single crochet, and back into the same stitch, a half double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1. And that is the first half of our strawberry. Working up the other side, into the next stitch, you're going to make a half double crochet and a single crochet. Into the next stitch, make a single crochet. Into the next stitch, make a single crochet and a half double crochet. Into the next stitch, you're going to make 4 double crochet. So exactly like we did on the other side. And finally, into your last stitch, you're going to make 1 half double crochet. And to finish off, you're going to find your very first half double crochet. So that's this one here. You're going to insert your hook into it and you'll make a slip stitch. From here, you can chain 1 to fasten off, and you can cut your yarn. And that is the very first part of our strawberry done. Now we're going to make the leaves for the top of our strawberry, and to do this we are going to be using our green yarn. Begin by making a slip knot. And for this we're still using our 3mm crochet hook. From here we are going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Starting in the second chain from our hook, we're going to make 1 single crochet into every single chain. So insert your hook into that second chain and make a single crochet. Then into the next chain, and finally the last chain. So you should have made 3 single crochet. And this is the stem part. From here, chain 4. Then you're going to slip stitch back into that same chain. So the very first chain. And we're going to repeat those last few steps 3 more times. So you're going to chain 4, and then you're going to slip stitch back into that same chain. So here's my last time doing this. So you should have 4 of these little loops in total. Once you've done that, chain 1 to fasten off, and then cut your yarn. And you want to leave quite a long tail end because we're going to be using this to sew with. Now, if you're like me and you have a big gap in the centre, you can simply pull your tail end and that is going to close that gap up. And that is it. These are now the leaves and the stem done. So go ahead, use your darning needle and the very long tail end that we left and sew this to the top of your strawberry, and I'll meet you back when you've done that. So I finished doing that and I now have a strawberry. So you can of course leave them like this, or taking some of your white yarn and your darning needle, you can sew some seeds to the very front. I think it looks really cute with the seeds and also without. I'll just quickly show you on my other book cover what they look like. You can see on these ones I've sewn the seeds to the very front. So go ahead, do that if you would like to, and I will meet you back to show you how we are going to attach them to our book cover. Now this is again where you can use a bit of your own creativity. You can make as many strawberries as you would like. I personally like to make 4. I have 2 on one side in the bottom corner, and then I have 2 on the other side in the top corner, like this. Now, to attach them, you've got 2 options. You can either sew them to your book cover using your darning needle and some yarn, or you can do what I like to do and use a hot glue gun. Now, please, 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 if you do use a hot glue gun, be really careful. This stitch for the book cover has got holes in it, so if you just hot glue gun and then stick your hand underneath it, you will burn yourself. Trust me, I did it. It's really painful. So if you're going to do that, I maybe recommend having a bit of cloth or something underneath to help you, but just be careful. So go ahead, attach your strawberries using whichever method you would like, and you're then done. That's it, that is the final step in this tutorial. I really hope you all enjoyed this tutorial and had fun creating your own book cover. If you have any questions, any comments, or any ways in which you think I can improve my tutorials, please let me know down below in the comments. I absolutely love hearing and interacting with all of you. We'd also really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of our new recipes, videos, and tutorials. I'll see you all in a few weeks in my next video, but in the meantime, happy crocheting!